Good morning, my dear children, and welcome back to the online class. Now, children, kindly open your textbook to page number 95. And on top right hand side, you have this paragraph. Do you know? Page number 95. So, children, did you get the paragraph? Do you know? The wire that we use in the electric bulb in our house is made of the element tungsten. So if you have seen an electric bulb, you can see a wire in it, and that wire is made up of the element tungsten. Now its symbol is W, and it is derived from its German name. So tungsten is having a German name, Wolfram. And that's why the symbol of tungsten is W. Similarly, the symbols of silver and gold, they are derived from their Latin names, argentum and aurum respectively. So silver is not having a symbol S, but it is having symbol Ag, that is argentum. And argentum is a Latin name for silver. Okay, Latin name for silver. Similarly, for gold, G is not a symbol, but for gold, the symbol is Au. And why Au? Because gold has a Latin name aurum, and that is why the symbol is Au. Some metals are difficult to use in the pure form. For example, pure iron rusts in air. Pure gold is very soft and bends easily. Okay, so sometimes what happens, children? There are some metals, they cannot be used in the pure form because they are soft. And if we make things out of these pure metals, then they can break easily. So then what is done? The properties of the original metal can be modified by mixing one or more elements in it. Such a mixture of metals is called an alloy. Brass, steel, 22-karat gold are a few examples of alloys. Now when you take example of gold, the pure gold is soft, and if you make ornaments of this pure gold, then the ornaments may break, they may bend because the element, that metal is soft. So you have to add another metal to it so that it becomes hard. So then the bangles which we use, the gold bangles, the necklaces, so they are hard. Why? Because other metal is added to it. Understood? And this mixture is called as an alloy. Now here you can see a table with element and symbol. The same table is on page number 94. So I'll read out the elements and the symbol. So hydrogen, we have H. Helium, He. Lithium, Li. Beryllium, Be. Boron, B. So children, I had already explained that the elements, they get the symbol from their first letter or the first two letters. Okay, and if you are using the first two letters, the second letter will be a small letter and the first one is always the capital letter. Now here for beryllium, Be. You cannot write B for beryllium because already B is for boron. So if you write B for beryllium and if you write B for boron, then there will be confusion. So better learn these symbols properly. Beryllium, Be. Boron is B. Carbon is C. Nitrogen, N. Oxygen, O. Now fluorine is F. Neon is Ne. Sodium, Na. Now sodium is not having a symbol S, but it is having Na. Now how Na? Because they have got another Latin name, and that's why it is having Na. Magnesium Mg, aluminium Al, silicon Si, phosphorus P, sulfur S, chlorine Cl. Now here chlorine is not CH, okay, but it is Cl, chlorine. Argon, it is Ar. Potassium, the symbol is K. Now potassium has a Latin name kalium, and that is why it gets a symbol K. Potassium is a soft silver white metal. Okay children, so potassium is having the Latin name kalium, and from that kalium they get the symbol K. Calcium Ca. Okay children. Now on page number 95, there's page 95. Try this. There are some questions given. Okay. So now let's see. Take sugar in a test tube and heat the test tube. This you must have tried it at home, or if you have not tried, you can do this. So what you will do here, take sugar in a test tube and heat the test tube. Observe what happens and what remains behind. So children, when a test tube containing sugar is heated, or if you take a spoon and you put sugar in it, then what happens? The sugar, and you are heating it, the sugar melts and then it loses water, leaving behind a black substance. And this black substance is called carbon. Okay children, so when you heat sugar, it starts burning, it melts, and then slowly it turns into black substance. So actually sugar is what? It is sucrose, and it is made up of, you can see on the screen here, it is made up of carbon, that is C, hydrogen H, and oxygen O. So it is made up of 6 atoms of carbon, 12 atoms of hydrogen, and 6 atoms of oxygen. So it is a compound, because here there are 3 elements combined: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They are combined, and that's why it is a compound. Okay. Now there's another question. Using tongs, hold a magnesium ribbon in a flame and observe what changes took place. Read the question again. Using tongs. Now what is a tong? A tong is a tool to pick up something or hold something. So you can see in the textbook, burning of magnesium picture, they have a tong, and in that tong they have hold a magnesium ribbon. Now what is magnesium ribbon? We know magnesium is a metal, and magnesium ribbon means a long narrow strip of magnesium metal. So using tongs we need to hold this magnesium ribbon in a flame and observe what changes took place here. So what happens when you hold it in the fire? When magnesium ribbon is ignited. So when you hold it in the fire or when you ignite it, light and heat are produced. So it will burn very brightly and even heat is given out. So why this happens? Because magnesium reacts chemically with oxygen in the air. And when it reacts with the air, oxygen in the air, magnesium oxide is produced. So after the magnesium ribbon is burned, that powder which is formed, that ash which is formed, that ash is magnesium oxide, because magnesium, when it was burning, it came in contact with oxygen from the air. So magnesium and oxygen got combined and they formed magnesium oxide. Okay. Then there's another question. What does the name carbon dioxide imply? How many and which elements in this substance made up of? So carbon dioxide is a compound, because when you write carbon dioxide, the formula you write CO2. So here two elements are combined, carbon and oxygen. So two elements combined, so they form a compound. So carbon dioxide is a compound. It is tasteless, odorless, it does not have any smell, and it's a natural product of respiration. We give out carbon dioxide when we respire. Plants use this carbon dioxide to produce food, and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Plants take in carbon dioxide. Okay. And this carbon dioxide contains one element of carbon and two elements of oxygen, because we write CO2, so two elements of oxygen, and C means two atoms of oxygen, and C means one atom of carbon. The next question, which of these are compounds, which are elements? The first one is water. So children, the water formula is H2O. So it is a compound or an element. Here there are two elements combined, hydrogen and oxygen. So it's a compound or it's an element? Yes, it is a compound, because two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen have combined to form a compound water. Okay, and children, you know what? When elements combine to form water, when elements combine to form a compound, their properties changes. So when they combine and a compound is formed, the properties change. I'll give you an example. Now hydrogen is a combustible substance. Combustible means which can burn easily. Okay, hydrogen. And oxygen helps burning. So what are the properties of hydrogen? That hydrogen easily burns and oxygen helps burning. But when these two elements they combine and a compound is formed, water, so water, it extinguishes fire. So water does not burn or water does not help burning, but it stops fire. So when you want to extinguish fire, we put water on it, we pour water on it and the fire goes off. So here what I mean to say is, when elements combine to form a compound, their properties change. Okay, their properties become different from the elements. Then there's another question. The second one is oxygen. So now children, oxygen is an element or a compound? It is one single element. Carbon dioxide. So I just explained that carbon dioxide, CO2. So here carbon and oxygen elements are combined. So CO2 is, carbon dioxide is a compound. Then the second question is, what is the smallest particle of a compound called? The smallest particle of a compound is called a molecule. So here on the screen you can see one molecule of water. Okay, one molecule of water. The smallest particle of a compound is molecule. Then in this lesson we had also learned about different methods of separation. In that we learned about centrifugation. So now I'll just explain where this centrifugation method is used, where it is applied. So centrifugation method, it is on page number 98. Page 98. So centrifugation method is used in diagnostic laboratories for blood and urine test. So when I had explained this paragraph, I have already told that when we do blood test and when we want to know different components of the blood, so centrifuge machine is used, and how these components get separated when it rotates. When the machine rotates, the liquid in it also rotates, and then all the components get separated. So centrifugation method is used in laboratories for blood and urine test. It is also used in dairies and homes to separate butter from cream. So to make butter from milk, cream, centrifugation method is used. And also it is used in washing machines to squeeze out water from wet clothes. So many of them must be using washing machines at homes, and you must have seen how the machine moves. It rotates very fast, and what happens as it rotates, the water comes out of those wet clothes, isn't it? So here centrifugation method is used. The next is chromatography. Now real life examples of chromatography. Now where this chromatography is used? It is used in pharmaceutical company to determine amount of each chemical found in a new product. If you want to find something, what is new in that product, so chromatography is used. In hospitals, to detect blood or alcohol levels in a patient's blood stream. In a patient's blood stream, if there is excess amount of alcohol, then it is used. Then law enforcement. Here it is used to compare a sample found at a crime scene to samples from suspects. An environmental agency, to determine the level of pollutants in the water supply. In the water, if there are many pollutants, if the water is polluted with some dirt and all, and if you want to check whether the water is clean or no, pure or no, then chromatography method is used. Then manufacturing plant, to purify a chemical needed to make a product. To purify a chemical which is needed to make a product, for that chromatography is used. It is also used for quality analysis and checker in the food industry. Now what they do here, they identify, they separate, analyze additives. So they come to know whether any additives are added to it, vitamins are there or no, preservatives are, how much preservatives are put, proteins and amino acids. So if they want to check all these, chromatography method is used. Then it is also used in spoilage detection. Chromatography is used in flavor studies and to detect spoilage in food. Now if you want to check whether the food has got spoiled or no, so here they use chromatography. And creating vaccinations. It is used in determining which antibodies fight various diseases and viruses. So these are the real life examples of chromatography. Okay children, so we have finished with the revision part also. I hope you have understood it. Thank you.